Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie and today we are racing a storm. We're finally possibly going to get rain. I'm actually feeling little droplets on me, so I don't know how far we're going to get on this video. But I wanted to put together my new Greenstalk. Now I'm not an affiliate with Greenstalk, I just really love them. And I have a couple of them that I've already set up, and let me show you those before we get to the one that I just purchased. Now this is the one that I have in my front yard. I've got it full of lettuces. We've got some flowers up at the top for the hummingbirds, and the hummingbirds love this. You can actually spin this around. It's got a spinner base, and you water it from the top. Now I've actually also been watering it along the sides every once in a while, depending on how windy and how hot it gets. But we had an 88-degree temperature. Everything did fine. We've gone down into the low 30s. I think we maybe actually even made it into the 20s on this one. We've had 50-mile-an-hour winds. As long as it's pretty wet, there doesn't seem to be any issue with it in the wind. Now it is being blocked by that tree. The wind comes from the north, which is that way. But it does seem to stand up really well. It's actually on a little bit of an incline, so I'd been worried about it. But it's done really well. And as you can see, we've got a ripe strawberry. I will pick that later. My goal is to have this completely full of strawberries one of these days. Now this one is the original. It's got the deep pockets, and that's the kind that I just purchased. Let's go show you the leaf that I have up on my deck. Now this is the Greenstalk up here on my deck. This one's a leaf. As you can see, there's more tiers. There's 7 tiers instead of 5. And the planting pockets are more shallow, so these are better for lettuce and things like that. I've also got flowers on top for the hummingbirds, and they really love it because my kitties can watch the hummingbirds from that spot right there. I've got kale up here because it does get shaded part of the day, and lettuce. We've got some flowers. I seeded some calendulas down here that are popping up. Got some nasturtiums up here and a little lettuce. Started some lettuce from seed. This is lettuce that I started in a pot. Actually, it's a mesclun mix. I'm just trying all sorts of different things to see how it works. Now the next Greenstalk that I'm going to be unboxing now is going to go in that corner right there, and this corner, even though it's not that far away, does get a little bit more sun. So we're going to put some sun-loving plants in that one. So I've had this box for a while. It's just been too cold and I've been too busy to be able to get to it. But we're going to open it up and see what's inside. Now, as I said, this is the original. So we're going to have the deeper planting pockets. And the first thing that comes out is the tray that goes on top. As you can see, there's little tiny holes right there. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see if I can get it so you can see the little holes. There's little holes right there, and they go over the planting pockets. This hole goes all the way through to the bottom, and I'll show you how that works so we can get water into each level. We've got a spinner base. This spins so that you can twist it around. It actually has a spot where you can put wheels in, but I did not purchase the wheels. The next thing that we have is the trays for under each level. As you can see, there's a hole there, and there's actually holes around each edge so that each planting pocket can get watered. We've got a hose that can direct the water wherever you want it to go when it comes out on the spinner base. Then we have each level of planting pockets. There's going to be 5 of these. And each one has holes at the bottom that also go over planting pockets, so the water really flows from each level down to the bottom. Now here's all the pieces all laid out. And what I need to do is I need to mix up some soil. We've got some bags. This is going to take, I think, 5 to 7 cubic yards of soil. We've got 2 in this bag, 2 in the raised bed mix. We've got some peat moss to mix in, and some vermiculite. Then we're going to put a little bit of worm castings and fertilizer in it. What I'm going to do to make it easy is I'm going to mix all the soil in this raised bed right here. So we're going to mix it all up, put it in each level. We're not going to water it because I'm not strong enough to carry these when they're full of water. So we'll water it a couple of times, maybe 4 or 5 times before we do the planting from the top, from that base right there. So let's get started by taking the spinner base up and putting it where we want it. Now right here, there's a hole. This is where the water comes out. The water pours into here from the upper levels. You can see down on that base. And I'm going to take this hose and attach it to here. That way I can direct the water over the edge of my deck. And there we have a nice spot for the spinner base. Now it looks like we're actually going to get the rain that was promised, and I cannot complain about that. So we'll finish mixing the soil together after the rain has passed. I'll see you then. Well, that storm ended as fast as it started. It looks like we're not going to get any more rain until tomorrow, and it barely even wet the ground. So that's very disappointing. But at least it gives me time to finish this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the drip line out of the way. I'm going to pour all of the amendments into this bed and mix them up. Now it doesn't matter if the soil mix in the bed mixes in with the mix that I'm going to put in the green stalks, because it's all basically the same thing. The only thing that I'm going to add a little different is perlite. Now perlite is different from vermiculite in that it doesn't absorb the water and soak it up and release it like the vermiculite does. What the perlite does is it just allows more drainage, and that'll be important for our container. So we're going to have both vermiculite and perlite in our mix for the green stock. So let's get started so I can get this finished just in case it decides to start raining again. Now the first thing we're going to put in is just some Pro Mix, just because it's a decent potting soil. So that's going to be our base. Next is just some raised bed planting mix, because I had it and it's got a lot of manures in it, and it's going to work good as a compost. Next, we're going to add some peat because it's a good filler and it's cheaper than the planting mix and the compost. And I'm going to be using this bag for another project a little bit later. So we'll put in a little bit of peat, maybe 1 cubic yard, so that we can round out the 5 cubic yards that we need for our green stock. Sorry, it's not cubic yards, it's cubic feet. 5 cubic yards is a lot of material. Next is the perlite. A little bit of worm castings. Last of all, a little bit of vermiculite and some fertilizer. Now we'll take our handy dandy shovel and mix the whole thing together. And as I said, it doesn't matter if we get some of the stuff in the bed below mixed, because none of this is going to hurt each other. They all work just as well together. Now it's not perfect, but I think we got it mixed pretty well. What we do want is to have an even mix of all the ingredients. We don't want pockets of just peat moss. So the hard part is over, the strenuous part. Well, maybe it's not over yet. So let's start filling up the green stock and get it up the stairs. Now with the last 2 green stalks that I put together, I did learn something the hard way, and that's not to pack the soil down, because when you pack the soil down really hard, you're actually distorting the plastic a little bit so it doesn't fit together very easily. So we're going to put this together, pack it down lightly, and then take it upstairs. So it looks like with all of that, I have about enough for 1.5 more levels, but we filled everything up already. And there we have our filled levels. So now I'm going to haul them upstairs. I'm going to spare you the sight of the old woman hauling these upstairs, and we'll meet you when we get up there. Now the first level's on the spinner base. Moves really nicely, just like this one, even when it's full. I just give them a spin once a day or so, just for fun, and also so that each side can get as much sun as the other. And one thing you want to be sure of is make sure these trays do not have soil in them, and make sure that the hole is clear. You don't want the issue of things on the inside gumming up. Now, did you see how easily that went on? All it took was just one try. Usually it doesn't take one try. Sometimes it takes 2 tries. But you've got little feet down here that have notches in them, and you just line them up with the edge of the other planter. Make sure the tray is cleaned out. Let's go get another level. There we have each level assembled, and you can see the differences between the 2 different types of green stalks. So this green stalk is the leaf, and it has 7 levels, and the little planting pockets are not as deep as the original, which has 5 levels. And the reason they've done that is so shallow-rooted plants like lettuces and kale and all your leafy greens, stuff like that, you can plant those and plant more of them in the leaf, and then you can grow stuff like dwarf tomatoes, peppers, carrots, all sorts of different things. I've even seen people try growing sweet potatoes and potatoes in here, because this entire level is full of soil all the way through. So they're really, really amazing. You can grow an amazing amount of stuff with these. So now the last part is the trickiest, or at least it was the trickiest part for me last time, because I had overfilled the top planter and pushed it down too far. I'd actually warped the plastic a little bit, is to add our top watering tray. Now, do not put soil in this top watering tray. This is just for watering. So you can see the little tabs there. Make sure the hole's lined up, and then just slide the tab in. And because I did not stuff this full of soil like the last ones, it's going in much easier. There we go. So here's the view of both of my planters side by side. I did leave room in the back so that I could go through the back and check them out, but you really just need to spin them if you want to see all sides. So you can shove them up into a corner and just spin them so they get sun, and so that you can maintain everything. Now, all that's left before I plant is just to fill this up probably 6 times, and I'll probably individually water these pockets. Now, you want to water it so you see water coming out of this little hose that's attached to the spinner base here. You never want to clog that up. You want it to be able to drain. And I'm going to give it at least 24 hours to actually make sure all of the soil is wet. Like I said before, these are way too heavy when they're full of water for me to lift. I can lift the original levels off. I've dismantled this one several times with the plants in it and put it back together with the plants in it. It's so easy to do. But this one has more soil in each level, and I'm not quite strong enough to get that top level off. I could probably do the bottom ones, but the top one is just way too heavy. So I'm going to save planting for the next video. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it's been useful to you. I've actually enjoyed making this video. I'm really excited to be able to have some plants to put in this other green stalk, and it's right off my kitchen. So I regularly come out here and harvest kale, I harvest lettuce, I watch the hummingbirds and the flowers. We're going to have more flowers in it. I think it's just a beautiful thing to have. And I'll also link down below. As I said, I'm not an affiliate with this, but I'll link down below where you can get the green stalks. They're great. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it's been helpful to you. If you do enjoy this video, please help me out by sharing it with your friends, liking and subscribing, and having a wonderful garden adventure.